What's the craziest butterfly effect that happened to you because of a small decision you made? Made a last-minute decision to go to a friend's divorce party and met my wife. Different people, right? Yeah, haha, the divorced person was a mutual friend. This adheres to the third law of marriages. For every divorce, there is an equal and opposite marriage. And a consequence of the first law of marriages, a marriage at rest stays at rest and a marriage in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside divorce. Divorce. Gotta pay respect for marriage, and thus for marriage. My wife got an email from her old colleagues the day we returned home from our honeymoon, asking if she wanted to star in a short film they were doing for fun. She said sure, and asked if I could come along, as she knew I had an interest in movies, but at the time I worked in life insurance and was miserable. It was more than an interest. I had always wanted to make films, but never made the right connections with people and didn't know where to start. I made friends with the producer of that short film my wife was in, and 11 years later filmmaking and video production is my career. I've shot feature films, short films, video for TV and web, and all over the world because of that one email to my wife. Changed our lives. Oh, and that original short film never got finished. Lol edit. Wow. Can't believe how this blew up, and it's been so positive. I'm all about helping anyone and everyone that may be in the position I was in however I can. Many of you have asked similar questions asking to see some of the work I've done or for advice. I'm happy to help. I started a room chat, so if you want to join, send me a DM and I'll add you. Thanks everyone. I definitely thought this was going to be about porn. Could be. My husband, he found out after 18 years that his mom's side of the family was Spanish, not Mexican. He found this interesting and changed his country to Spain on MySpace instead the US where he really was. Meanwhile in Australia, I was helping my friend find Spanish people to add as a friend as she was learning the language. I came across my now husband, and decided to send him a friend request as well. We got along really well and met in person after 3 years. Have been together 11 years, married for 7. If he didn't change his country to Spain, and only for a day or so, we'd never know each other existed. This one is the best I've read so far. Every decision you have made and will ever make has eventually lead to you reading this sentence. If you ever become rich and successful, remember to thank this sentence. The first day I ever signed up for internet back in 1999, I installed Merc, because it was on the starter disk my ISP gave me, and joined a random chat room. Over the course of the next year the regulars in that room became like family to me. We would talk about everything. All that practice made me a fast typist and way better communicator than I was before that. They would even help me when I had trouble understanding something in my college classes. I also met my husband in that room, and we've been happily married for 18 years. Others from our little Irk family are married, too, and we still keep in touch. All because I randomly chose that chat room that day. Edit, wow, this really exploded. Thanks for the awards. I'm happy to know there are so many of you other Irk people out there with good memories like mine. If Terry's any other of my old IRCN at #PlanetChat people out there from 20 years ago, DM me smile PRK. My existence. When my dad was about 20, he needed a phone number so he called the operator from a pay phone. She gave him the number, he hung up, and she accidentally refunded the money back to the pay phone. She called the pay phone back and asked him if he could put the money back in, which he did and hung up again. She accidentally refunded the money again and had to call back again to ask him to put the money back in. He did and hung up again. She was so flustered, she refunded the money again and called back again, and my father got to chatting with her and got her number. They set up a date, which she stood him up for, then she forgot his name when he called her again, then they actually got coffee and 4 years later were married. This coming August it'll be 50 years for them. If my dad didn't need that phone number, I wouldn't be here. Edit, my dad still calls it the most expensive phone call he ever made. LMAO, I felt bad for her just reading that first part. My heart wouldn't take the stress. My desire for pizza set off a chain reaction that destroyed my family. One day got home from school and really wanted pizza. Family was poor, so spontaneous food trips weren't always in the cards. Really worked my pouty face to my mom and begged to go to the local pizza place for dinner. She said all right. While chilling there I saw my uncle walk by, and I was like to duck. Uncle X, is that you? Now you might say, well, he wanted pizza, what's the big deal? Well, he lived several states away, so to arbitrarily be in town and not tell anyone was strange. Turned out he was having an affair with his sister-in-law, my aunt on the other side of the family. She was basically a money-grubbing whore and the family protested. One thing led to another and everyone hates each other now and we haven't had contact in like 20 years. I just wanted some pizza frown. The other day I was driving home from work, traffic was light and I was behind a car with a number plate that started KFD. Decided to duck through KFC drive-thru for chippies with extra salt as a little treat to myself. They took forever to bring them out and by the time they finally did, all told about 10 minutes later, traffic has slowed to a complete halt. I need to get over a bridge that's normally 6 lanes which has now been reduced to 1. Turns out it's due to a massive collision involving several cars. When I finally get to the point where I'm driving past, I notice the number plate on one of the cars, that same KFD number plate. If I hadn't stopped to get hot chips I'm fairly sure I'd have been in a major collision. TL, Doctor, KFC chippies with extra salt saved my life. Edit. Didn't think the chippies would be the most interesting thing in this post. For clarification, I'm Australian Melbs, and calling them chippies instead of chips improves your quality of life, in Australia at least. Try it and see. Kentucky Final Destination. When I was in 8th grade, 13 years old, I had a really long bus ride home so would pass the time by reading. One day I faced the very serious situation of nothing to read and a minute to grab something in the library. And for whatever reason I grabbed a book on astronomy. That book was amazing and grabbed me like nothing else had before. I remember being excited to realize every astronomer on Earth was 13 years old once too, and that was a career you could actually do, even if you were from Pittsburgh. Anyway, today I am a professional astronomer who studies gigantic space explosions for a living. There was a lot of work to get from that moment to this one, but I'm always grateful that I picked up that library book. Edit, I am getting questions on how to be an astronomer, and wrote a detailed post here on this topic at some point. Please read it over, and feel free to message or leave a question here if you have one. At a university career fair and just has a long day taking to companies and heading out when I see a Honda booth. Designing cars would be awesome but there is a huge line, it has been a long day, and what are the chances? But wait! They are giving away hats and shirts and model cars. So I talk to them. A day later I get a call back for an online assessment. I fill that out and don't hear anything back for a month or so. I get a call one night saying I was an alternate and someone cancelled last minute so they want to fly me up for on-site interviews. I go and end up getting and accepting an offer. After graduation I move about 1,000 miles away from home for my new job where a few years after I meet my now wife and we have 2 kids. I never would have crossed paths with her otherwise. So the entire course of my life was shifted because Honda gave away good swag at their career fair booth. I went to a career fair one day, as I wanted to get a job in the IT field. I was in school, ITT Tech, I know, for computer networking. Saw a stand for a gas station chain and thought to myself, I don't want to work at a gas station and kept on going. Passed out my resume and had a good talk with a local company that a few of my classmates worked. Was about to leave and pass the gas station stand again, but this time I saw it on their poster. Decided to just see what it was about and dropped off my resume. Talked with a recruiter and was told about a department that needed an intern. I got an interview for a position and it was more of a this is what you will be doing and this is what it pays, when can you start? 13 years later I'm still working for a gas station chain and really enjoying it. I had to call my heart surgeon to give him my new insurance #S. I had only just gotten them because the person who had them had the flu and was not getting back to me. As soon as I got my numbers, I called surgeon. The receptionist said, "Oh, hey, we just had a cancellation for this Friday, do you want it?" Of course I wanted to get it over and not wait another month. Decided to take the open heart surgery cancellation appointment, a month before my actual appointment, and well, surgeon said that thank goodness I did because once he got a look inside, he realized I would not have survived to the original appointment date. So, if the insurance lady didn't have the flu, I would have gotten those numbers a lot sooner, and never gotten the offer to have the surgery when I did. Someone else's flu saved my life. I chose to rearrange the sequence of classes slightly before starting my education. By doing this, I had to commute to a different branch of the school in a different town than the one I was originally signed up for. On my first day there, I helped a girl who had managed to break both of her arms in a drunken shopping cart accident, I learned later. This girl, whom I would absolutely never have met had I not changed my classes around, is my wife through 14 years. Edit, oh wow. This blew up. Thanks so much for the badges and awards, kind strangers. Managed to break both of her arms in a drunken shopping cart accident. That's gotta be a story in and of itself. I'd guess she was either in a shopping cart or standing on the back of one, then it tipped over while moving. Or maybe she tried to ride down a hill in one. Or maybe she was with friends, throwing shopping carts with a catapult or trebuchet, and got hit by a flying cart. Or maybe she used a shopping cart, rope, and pulley as a way to access a tree house, but the rope snapped 10 feet up. Or maybe